Hello everyone. In this video, we will be continuing the concept of the previous video, that is the viscosity concept, and along with that even we'll be discussing one more topic, that is nothing but bearing materials and its property. So already in the previous video we just had a detailed like explanation of the Newton's law of viscous flow. So just quickly I'll explain off once again. So for this we have considered a plate of A which is moving with the velocity u on a film of lubricant of thickness h. So all these are like many plates I have considered of like A cross section, and which is moving and which is decked over each other, and in between this a lubricant is provided and it is moving with a velocity u, and all these things which have lubricant thickness is h. So imagine the film to be composed of series of horizontal layers and the force F causing these layers to deform or slide on one another just like a deck of cards. So the layers in contact with the moving plate are assumed to have a velocity u. So those in contact with the stationary surface are assumed to have a zero velocity, and the intermediate layers have velocity that depend upon their distances y from the stationary surfaces. So Newton's viscous effect states that the shear stress in the fluid is proportional to the rate of change of velocity with respect to y, that is T is equal to F by A, and which is equal to Z into du by dy. So where Z is nothing but constant of proportionality, and which defines absolute viscosity, also called dynamic viscosity, and the derivative du by dy is the rate of change of velocity with distance and may be called the rate of shear or the velocity gradient, and the viscosity Z is a measure of the internal frictional resistance of the fluid. So for most lubricating fluids, the rate of shear is constant, and du by dy which is equal to u by h, where the fluid exhibits its characteristic which is also known as Newtonian fluids. So therefore, shear is equal to F by A which is equal to Z into u by h. So the absolute viscosity is measured by the Pascal second in standard like in standard international standards of measurement, and this is same as the Newton's seconds per square meters. So the poise is the CGS unit of dynamic or absolute viscosity, and its unit is the dyne second per square centimeter, and it has been customary to use the centipoises in analysis because its value is more convenient. And the conversion from CGS units to SI units is as follows, that is Z into Pascal second which is equal to 10 power minus 3 Z into CP, that is centipoises. Kinematic viscosity is the ratio of absolute viscosity to the density of the lubricant, and in formula we can call it as Z by P, that is ZK is equal to Z by P. The ASTM standard method for determining viscosity uses an instrument called Seibold Universal Viscosity Meter. So the method consists of measuring the time in seconds for 60 ml of lubricant at a specified temperature to run through a tube of 17.6 micron in diameter and 12.25 millimeter long. The result is called the kinematic viscosity, and in the Pascal unit of the square centimeter per second has been used. So 1 square centimeter per second is defined as Stoke. So finally, the kinematic viscosity based upon second Seibold, also called as Seibold universal viscosity, is given by Zk which is equal to 0.22 T minus 180 divided by T, where Zk is in centi-stokes and T is the number of seconds Seibolds. Moving to the next one, that is viscosity temperature relation. Viscous resistance of lubricating oil is due to intermolecular forces. As the temperature rises, the oil expands and the molecules move further apart, decreasing the intermolecular forces. Therefore, the viscosity of lubricating oil decreases with temperature, which will be seen in the sketch. And if the speed increases, the oil's temperature increases and the viscosity drops, so thus making it better suited for the new condition. An oil with high viscosity creates higher temperature, and this in turn reduces viscosity. So this however generates an equilibrium condition that is not optimum. Thus selection of the correct viscosity oil for the bearings is essential. You could able to witness here, if I keep on increasing the like absolute viscosity, so there is a drop. If I keep on increasing the temperature means then there is a drop in the if we keep on increasing the temperature means there is a drop in the viscosity, that we could able to see. And for the different materials they have shown. Next is viscosity index of a lubricating oil. So viscosity index is the value which represents the degree for which the oil viscosity changes with temperature. If this variation is small with temperature, then the oil is said to have high viscosity index. And the oil is compared with two standard oils, one having a VA of 100 and another having a 0. So a viscosity index of 90 indicates that the oil with this value thins out less rapidly than oil with viscosity index of 50. And moving to the next, that is type of lubricants. As we discussed previously, like we have many types, that is vegetable or animal oils like castor oil, rapeseed oil, palm oil, olive oil, etc. And next, animal oils like lard oil, tallow oil and whale oil, and mineral oils like petroleum based, paraffins and naphthenic based oils. So all these things are widely used lubricants. And what are all the properties of lubricants? So which should be availability in the wide range of viscosity, and a high viscosity index is recommended or expected, and it should be chemically stable with bearing materials at all temperatures encountered, and oil should have sufficient specific heat to carry away heat without abnormal rise in temperature, and it should be reasonable cost. And what all the guide what is the selection guide for the lubrication? So the viscosity of the lubricating oil is decisively for the right thickness of the lubricating film, approximately 3 to 30 micron meters, under consideration of the type of lubricant supply. So if it is low sliding speed, then high viscosity is expected, and for high sliding speed, low viscosity is expected. For high bearing clearance, high viscosity, and for the high load bearing pressures, higher viscosity is recommended. So moving to the next topic, that is bearing materials. So, bearing materials basically relative softness to absorb foreign particles, reasonably strength, missionability to maintain tolerances and lubricity, temperature and corrosion resistance, and in some cases porosity, that is to absorb the lubricant, are some of the important properties for your bearing materials. A bearing element should be less than 1/3 as hard as the material running against it in order to provide embeddability of abrasive particles. And a bearing material should have a high compression strength to withstand high pressures without distortion, and should have good fatigue strength to avoid failure due to pitting. Example in connecting rod bearings, crankshaft bearings, etc. A bearing material should have a conformability, and soft bearing materials have a conformability. Slight misalignments of bearings can be self-correcting if plastic flow occurs easily in the bearing metal. Clearly, there is a compromise between load bearing ability and conformability. In bearings operating at high temperatures, possibilities of oxidation of lubricating oils leading to formation of corrosive acids is there. So the bearing material should be corrosion resistant, and bearing material should have easy availability and low cost. The bearing material should be soft to allow the dirt particles to get embedded in the bearing lining and avoid further trouble. And this property is known as embeddability. So different bearing materials are there. First we'll start with the common one, that is the babbitt or white metal. So usually used as a lining of about 0.5 mm thick, bonded to bronze, steel or cast iron, where lead based and tin based babbitts are available, which are excellent conformability and embeddability, which is having good corrosion resistance and poor fatigue strength. And next is copper based alloys. For most common alloys are copper tin, copper lead, phosphor bronze. Expected is harder and stronger than white metals, can be used unbacked as a solid bearing. And for aluminum based alloys, like running properties, not as good as copper based alloys, but it is very cheaper. And we have PTFE, that is suitable in very light applications, and we have sintered bronze, which is a porous material which can be impregnated with oil, graphite or PTFE, and not suitable for heavily loaded applications, but useful where lubrication is inconvenient. And next one is nylon, which is similar to the PTFE but slightly harder, used only in very light applications. So a triple layer composite bearing material consists of 3 bonded layers, with steel backing, sintered porous tin, bronze interlayer and anti-wear surface, which is shown in the sketch, where the high load capacities and low friction rates and are oil free and anti-wear. And finally, if oil supply fails, frictional heating will rapidly increase the bearing temperature, normally lead to metal contact and eventual seizure. Soft bearing materials low melting point will be able to shear and may also melt locally, protect the journal from severe surface damage, and helps to avoid component breakages, that is sudden locking of mating surfaces. So we could able to see all this what is it, the lubrication thickness, everything in this sketch. That is the trimetal bead. Thank you.